Hey everyone, Critical Hits here, and this is my review of the Elder Scrolls Legends beta. For those of you who don't know, the Elder Scrolls Legends is basically Bethesda's answer to Hearthstone. Since Hearthstone's come out, there's been a huge craze regarding online trading card games, minus the actual trading, along with other games like Duel List and Shards of Fate. And this is Bethesda's attempt to throw its head in the ring. When this game was first announced, there was a lot of pushback by the gaming community, particularly Bethesda fans. A lot of people were complaining that it was just going to be another ripoff. A lot of people were afraid that Bethesda was devoting resources that it could have spent on another mainline Elder Scrolls game, devoting that to creating this game instead. But I was actually looking forward to this the moment this game was announced, and I'm glad to finally have the opportunity to play it. And based on the information that I heard about this game as it was trickling out of Bethesda, they really didn't even say much of anything about this game until early this year. It's not really all that similar to Hearthstone when it comes to the actual gameplay. They ripped a lot of Hearthstone's game modes, particularly Arena, and there are a lot of abilities that are sort of like the equivalent to what you see in Hearthstone as far as triggers are concerned. For example, they have this keyword called summons, which is basically Legends equivalent to Battle Cry, or they have Last Gas, which is Legends equivalent to Death Rattle and stuff like that. But the overall rhythm and rhyme of the game is not that similar. I'd say it's just really kind of fast paced like Hearthstone, and it borrows some key ideas. But when you actually get down and play it, it doesn't feel any more like Hearthstone than it does any other card game. And if you're one of those people who Hearthstone is like your only point of reference, you never even played a card game until you played a Hearthstone, then, or a card game like this, like a trading card game, then you're basically gonna say, yeah, this is a Hearthstone ripoff. But if you play Magic the Gathering, if you play Yu-Gi-Oh, if you play any of those older trading card games that predate these online card games like Hearthstone and Elder Scrolls, you're not gonna say that Elder Scrolls Legends is anything like Hearthstone per se. It doesn't really resemble it more than it resembles any of those other games in terms of how it actually plays. So without further ado, let's get into this. So right now we're in my card collection, and as you can see up here, cards are divided into several different tabs. There are basically 5 attributes in the game. They are strength, intelligence, willpower, agility, and endurance, and these are very similar to Magic the Gathering's colors of magic, but none of these different attributes necessarily correlate all that strongly with any given color of magic. Strength is kind of like the color red in that it has a lot of offensive oriented cards, but the similarities pretty much end there. You would think intelligence is sort of similar to the color blue, but unlike the color blue in Magic the Gathering, there are actually quite a few removal options, and there are also quite a few options where you have like the ability to equip weapons, such as you actually see right here with Crown Quartermaster. And one of them, I guess you would say endurance. It actually has a lot of cards like Hiss Speaker, which actually temporarily or permanently increase your magicka, which is actually very similar to the Druid in Hearthstone. So I wouldn't think of them in terms of any corollary per se to the colors of magic in Magic the Gathering. Now, besides these 5 attributes, there are also cards that are dual attribute, and there are cards that are neutral, that aren't really associated with any attribute at all. And there are 9 classes in the game. However, the way classes work in this game are very, very different from the way that they work in Hearthstone, even though they have the same number of classes. Basically in Hearthstone, when it comes to classes, you basically have a large list of neutral cards that are all minions, that are all creatures that you play, is what they call them in Elder Scrolls Legends. And then you have a smaller group of usually more powerful but also more specialized cards that are geared towards certain strategies that are specific to your class. In the Elder Scrolls Legends, it's more like you have your class associated with 2 of the 5 attributes. So for example, mage is intelligence and willpower, I believe. And you can use any cards that fall under the categories of intelligence and willpower if you are a mage. But you really need to think of classes in terms of what attributes, whatever 2 attributes they constitute. So for example, this Black Marsh Smugglers, which is a deck that the game basically gives you at the start of the game, it combines agility and endurance. And I don't think of whatever the class is associated with Black Marsh Smugglers, or specifically agility and endurance. I don't know what the class name is off the top of my head, to be honest with you. I don't know what most of them are off the top of my head. I just think of it in terms of the 2 attributes that make up that class, because that's what really matters as far as what cards you can use. Also, I would note that while you can use neutral cards in any deck, there aren't that many of them, really. That's all I have right now, and most of those are the ones that I got from the start of the game. And then the dual attribute cards, which are generally very powerful, they can only be used with a deck that is associated with both of the attributes. So this Rift Thane can only be used with a deck that is both strength and willpower. It cannot be used with a deck that is willpower and agility, or strength and intelligence. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to play a quick match here against the AI. I'm not going to play against a human player because you are on a timer when you go up against other human players as far as turns are concerned. So it's just going to be a lot easier for me to explain what's going on while I'm playing if I go up against an AI opponent. Now, right now, I am using what's called the Black Smugglers deck, which is one of the default decks you get in the game. It is an agility and endurance deck. My opponent is running all willpower, it looks like. Now, at the start of your turn, you have the option to basically take any card that's in your hand and send it back to the deck and draw new cards in place of it. I'm actually going to replace all 3 of these cards since I can't play any of them on the first or second turn, and go ahead and redraw. And that's not a whole lot better, but I do have something that I can play on the second turn. So as you can see here, the battlefield, as we'll call it, is divided into 2 lanes. One is the field lane and one is the shadow lane. The shadow lane grants creatures that are put on the field cover, which is a mechanic that prevents them from being targeted by other creatures on the first turn that they are put on the field. They can still be targeted by actions, as they're called, which are kind of like spells, and as far as I know, certain special abilities that your creatures may have can actually still target them. Your creatures can't target other creatures directly if they have cover. And as you can see here, there are these runes listed here. Each character gets 5 runes, and whenever you lose 5 health, you will actually be able to draw a card. It doesn't matter if it's your turn or your opponent's turn. And if that card has a keyword called prophecy, that means that you or your opponent can play that card for free. And they can have a variety of effects. They can return a card to the player's hand. They can destroy a card. They can just immediately play a creature onto the field, whatever. They have a variety of effects, and they can potentially change the balance of power in the battle. So you want to keep that in mind as far as your attack order is concerned with your own creatures. I want to go ahead and skip my turn because I can't do anything right now. And he just played an apprentice potion, which increases health by 5. And I'm actually glad he did that, because this allows me to let you know that, yeah, you start off at 30 health, but you can actually go above that in the game. And as a matter of fact, there are I think this deck actually has, that the AI is using, actually has like 3 of those potions, and on top of that they have 3 other potions that basically do the same thing, except for they have a prophecy key, that prophecy keyword. And basically he was just constantly healing himself like 4 or 5 times with these cards, bringing him up to like 40, 50 health at one point when I was playing against him. So I'm going to go ahead and play his speaker, and I'm going to go ahead and put in a shadow lane. Generally I do that in the early game when I'm going up against an opponent with any support cards that I might have, because once his speaker is destroyed, I lose that extra mana that it gives me, extra magicka, sorry.
Who is the client today?
Okay, so he has a card that has both guard and pilfer. Guard is basically the equivalent of taunt. It's very easy to explain. If you played Hearthstone, you know what that does. I can't attack him directly or any other minion in this lane, any other creature in this lane, sorry, until this creature has been destroyed. So what I'm going to do here is, because this guy only has 1 attack, but he has a lot of health, I'm going to play Skooma Racketeer. I'm going to play it in the other lane, but I'm going to give this creature, his speaker, lethal, and he's going to be able to destroy him and survive. Yeah, so lethal instantly kills the creature. As you know, a ability like this does exist in Hearthstone as well. I think it's actually called lethal, if I'm not mistaken. It's more common in Elder Scrolls Legends for some reason, which is kind of scary for balancing reasons. The Khajiit in particular seem to be very fond of lethal. By the way, the agility and endurance deck, the smugglers deck, I highly recommend you start with that as soon as you get it in this game. But that's just my personal recommendation. I'm gonna skip my turn. Okay, he's played another minion with taunt, guard actually, and prophecy. Sorry, I'm going to get these keywords mixed up for these games. It's going to happen because I play a lot of Hearthstone. But let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and play Cave Brawl here. Cave Brawl has a regenerate, which means he actually recovers health in between turns. And I'm going to go ahead and attack. I'm not going to attack with Skooma Racketeer. I'm going to hope that he just ignores it.
Break through their ranks.
And maybe I can find a way to keep it alive next turn. Probably not. Yeah, not so much. Ooh, that's nasty. So I'm in a pretty sticky situation here. Let's see here. Oh, I forgot. This guy has lethal. So I guess I might as well just go ahead and use that. Even though I'm going to lose mana. Actually, this guy has lethal as well as guard. So he doesn't have a lot of cards. He only has 1 card in his hand. So I'm going to hope that he doesn't have any way of getting rid of this minion, and I can use lethal on him instead. And on this side of the field, do I want to play this? Because I want to lose a 4 for 4 actually. Maybe I should just go ahead and play it and let him take him out.
You'll pay for this.
Okay, that sort of went pretty much as I planned it. Now, he's buffed this creature. He's given it guard, and he's given it, actually it already had guard because it can actually give other creatures guard when it's summoned. But he increased its stats. I'm just going to go ahead. Actually, I'm going to play him first. So what this card does, and this is another thing that sort of makes endurance similar to the druid in Hearthstone. Its effect is if I have 7 or more max magicka, I get guard, and I get 2+2. That's interesting. Very good ramp up ability. So I haven't decided what lane I'm going to play this in. I guess I'm going to go ahead and play it on the shadow lane.
I will protect the skin fool.
And I'm just going to destroy this minion. Actually, before I do that, I put him in this lane. I was considering playing Plea of Kinnereth, but I decided not to.
Chimera, guide us.
What's this? Friendly creatures have 0/1. So my opponent doesn't really have a lot of options right now. So I'm just gonna go for face.
By bark and root.
And end my turn. So I'm very much in control of this fight right now. If he doesn't draw something very useful, he could be dead in a turn in the next turn. As you can see here, when I get the advantage and I'm really pressuring him, he's drawing cards from those runes being destroyed. So that does give him an opportunity to make a comeback depending on what he's drawing. He's not doomed yet. Let me go ahead and play. I'm going to play on this side. And I'm going to end my turn.
Tell me your injuries.
My sword is yours.
We are ready for anything.
Okay, so it looks like I probably have this one unless he draws a prophecy when I attack. I want to go over what this card did here. Gives a creature 2+ health. That's basically what he did. I don't know where the third piece of health came from, because this is a 1/1 creature by default. And I guess I really don't. Oh, it's by this card of duh. All right, so go ahead and take that guy out. Let's see here. He's going to be able to draw a card regardless. Let me go ahead and attack. He drew a prophecy. And it gave him guard. This is exactly what he needed. I mean, I wouldn't have took him out this turn anyway. But he needed something like that. Looks like it wasn't enough though. Not yet anyway. I'm actually going to play Plea of Kinnereth. So the reason why I did that is this card only had 1 health. So either these creatures would have took it out. Now both of these creatures can attack it. They'll die and it'll still be there because it has guard and lethal. And this card, I'll get increased my max magicka by 1 permanently, unlike the His Speaker, and it also has taunt. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play that. Not really necessary, but I'm gonna play it. Alright, all my creatures attacked already, so in my turn.
It's nothing personal. Tell me where it hurts.
Okay, so the AI has once again done something rather informative. He used what's called shackle. Let me show you when he did that exactly. Okay, there it is. Detain, shackle a creature. That's an action. Actions are kind of like spells that immediately go into effect. This card here, Divine Conviction, is what's called support. They cannot be destroyed, at least not by other creatures. They're actually not creatures. They can't be destroyed by creatures though. There are certain special abilities though that can be used to destroy them. But Shackle, what Shackle does is it basically makes it to where your creature can't attack next turn. So because he used Shackle on my Swamp Leviathan last turn, I can't play it. I can't use it rather. I can't attack his creature with it. Doesn't matter though because I have lethal with this card. And it's down. And actually, it looks like I won the game unless he plays another prophecy. Now, note here, I am going to attack with this card first, because if I attack with this card first, he doesn't have the opportunity to draw a card. If I attack with this card first, he would be down to 1 health, but he would also get that prophecy, and he could potentially get that prophecy. He wouldn't necessarily get a prophecy, but he'd get to draw a card, and if it was a prophecy, he might get something that could have prevented me from winning the game. So that's why I attack with this creature first. That's what I was talking about on how you got to take into consideration in what order you're attacking your opponent because of these runes.
By bark and root.
And now he's done. And there you go. That was a quick review. I will be releasing more videos in the future if this video gets a lot of likes and a lot of views, so please go ahead and share it. And if you have any recommendations for future videos, let me know.